Understand? Who's out there?
Usually when somebody is playing with film, you can tell. You look at these pictures, there's none of that. You own a gun? I do. And ever since I've seen these photographs, I've been sleeping with it under my pillow.
At least they can't get me in here.
Hello? Can you hear me? I am searching, whether it's the cities, the quiet suburbs, or in the beauty of nature. I will find it. In the crevices. In the darkness. Welcome to Lost or Found.
Welcome back to Lost or Found here on Horror Fiend TV, and we're doing a specific movie, and I need help on this one. So I got my boy Ricky Grimes in. Ricky, are you ready for this one, buddy?
What's up? What's up? Oh, my brother, when you told me about Savageland, bro, I'm like, throw me on there, bro. I got something to say. Let's do it.
We all thought it was a mass murder case.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the Sangre De Cristo victims.
A person of interest was detained.
We found the suspect covered in blood.
38-year-old Francisco Salazar, an illegal immigrant, has been charged with over 24 counts of first-degree murder.
Everybody seems so shocked about this. Not me. Because I know what these people are capable of.
Currently streaming on my favorite channel, Tubi. So what is the synopsis of this one? A small town called Sangre De Cristo is basically in the spotlight for a mass murder homicide of 57 people, and the lone survivor, aka suspect, is an illegal immigrant called Francisco Salazar. And the only way that he basically documented what happened was through photography. But this film is done in one of the most impressive ways a film could be done, especially found footage, documentary style. So, Ricky, I gotta ask you, it is done in a documentary style with many aspects shown in this film. Do you think, for found footage specifically, did the documentary style work in this film?
This movie did not feel like a found footage film to me. This felt like an actual news report. And that's what really works about this movie. Because as you're watching it, you're not getting a lot of, this. Of course, they got silly characters thrown in it, but there's people out there that are worse in real life, you know what I'm saying? So I love how they went from like different perspectives, some opposed to Salazar and some, in his defense. They got family members, people that knew him. He was a drifter, pretty much, a handyman, and a lot of people knew him. And the fact his story starts off with some guy that doesn't speak, locked he's in jail essentially, in an interrogation room, won't say a word, but then slowly the onion peels on this guy, and it's done all through these news reports, and it just feels real. I saw this again last night with my girlfriend, and I didn't tell her it's a mockumentary.
Yeah.
I said, watch this movie. It's good. It's for, Lost or Found. And she's like so into it, bro. And then she's asking me, is this real? Is it real? I'm like, just watch it. Watch it. So when the movie's over, she's like, oh my God, like this really happened? Is it real? And I was like, no, it's not. It's a, it's a mockumentary. It's made to, she's like, why you telling me that? No, I wanted it to be real. And she loved this. And then we went, and I showed her the Three Corners, our last episode. As soon as it was over, she was like, I can't stop thinking about that movie. So this movie has an impact, even for non horror fans. Because if you put on the news and you get captivated by what's going on, this movie emulates that perfectly. So yeah, good choice. And yes, this film does work in its format.
No, I mean, I love the way it started from the get-go. You get basically a view of the town, how it looks now as a ghost town. But then you get excerpts of the crime scene before it even introduces Salazar.
Boy, what a crime scene.
But yeah, I mean, and the thing is, once you see the crime scene, you're like, oh my God, how did one person pull this off?
Yeah.
And then, like you were saying, when you start hearing like the different, I won't say eyewitness, people who knew Salazar, people who were, New in the town. Now, mind you, the town was only a population of 57.
57. That's it.
This morning, and a number of SDC residents are reportedly still missing. Because as one police spokesman put it, the whole town is a crime scene.
And the fact that they found him on the side of the road miles away from town added even more intrigue to this movie. Now, you also mentioned the fact that this movie was done in 2015, but the subject is a subject that's always been part of politics in this country for a very long time, immigration. And what I found even more captivating about this movie is that you actually listen to both sides of that political landscape.
Yep.
Now, when you were watching that, how it was unfolding from both sides of the political landscape. Now, a little context into this. When Salazar was arrested, his trial was very speedy because of who he was, an illegal immigrant.
Oh, let's be real. That jury already had their mindset.
Oh, yeah.
They don't matter what he was going to say.
It was one person who was on jury say, yeah, it only took us 30 minutes to deliberate.
Yeah.
So they already had their mindset on because of who the character was, an
Yeah.
illegal immigrant. Now, how did you feel like seeing both sides of those equations play a part into the bigger aspect of this movie?
I loved it. And the fact that this preceded everything that would come after 2015, I don't want to get into that, but it's definitely tells you that it's always been here. You know, these two sides of the coin has always been there, and some has valid points on both sides. There's valid points on both sides. Let's be real. Some people take it to a bit more extreme. That's the issue, depending on where you fall on it. But it's done here in a way where it's out of fear. The guy found what is 57. So is he 58 or what?
I think he's 50s. He's the 57.
So it's 56 were murdered.
Because he actually lived like a mile away from town by himself.
Because if you look at the evidence, how can one person do all this?
Yeah.
And it's established later that the wounds he has on his arms are the same wounds found in some of the mutilated bodies.
Yeah.
And I love how some of the people talk about the bodies, and they're so like, no, they're not like, you know, they're not burned or attacked by an animal. They're like, they're munched on, and they're what do you say? They're freaking like mutilated to a point where they're eaten. You know, they're mangled. They're mangled. You know, they're chewed up. And why would one person do that essentially? But they didn't want to hear that. They just got their scapegoat, and at the end of the film, he pretty much becomes a martyr. And that's the story of my poor Francisco Salazar. He was a hero, in a sense, but unfortunately, because of who he is and where he came from, wasn't acceptable, I guess.
And then what I liked about it too is you had the reporter. Remember when he came on, he was like, "Oh, he was guilty." I mean, he was definitely guilty, but as he started investigating more and more, he was like, "Hold on, there's a lot of stuff that was happening to Francisco. The way he was behaving was either he was crazy or he went through some crazy stuff."
Yes.
And what I like about what we got in this film is we went from the beginning to a quiet Salazar in detention to Salazar that was finally able to talk to his lawyer. Then you started getting more information.
Yeah, I love those scenes when they start uncovering the evidence that nobody was looking for or they were hiding.
So let me ask you a question. The big thing with him as we're leading up towards the end of the film is the photography. When you saw the photographs he was taking, I'll say one that was specific that really showed in the spotlight was when he was talking about Thornton, the guy with the gun, and he took the picture, and behind Thornton, all you see is blurred images of people coming from down the hill.
Scary.
What did you think of that, and the fact that all this photographic evidence that was starting to play out, like towards the middle to the end of the film?
That's when it really became really engrossing to me, because I love the photos because they're not photos of some guys in makeup. The fact that they're almost in these static poses because they're in motion, and the guy is, you know, if there's zombies coming towards you, you're not gonna sit there and frame the perfect shot. You're gonna be shaky, and the pictures will come out all fucked up like that. But there's enough in there to see. Wait a minute, are they fucked up or not? You can't tell what they are. They're human or they're zombies. So what I like about it, they don't look like monsters. They just look like people, but it's so blurred out, and that adds to the intrigue because in your own mind, you start putting those pieces together, and like, damn, wait a minute, because this film, I don't know about you, when I first saw it, I don't read about it, nothing. I just saw Savageland, and I heard people talk about it on our, there's various groups that we're in with found footage and stuff. I popped it. I did not know it had anything to do with any type of zombie. So as these scenes come in, I'm like, oh man, this is right up my alley right now. And I like the fact that you mentioned he is a photographer and that he takes random pictures of shit. That's not gonna paint him as a bad person because maybe he just likes capturing death on film. Well, he caught death on film, alright, because he caught the undead. And when he's in the interrogation room and they found the tapes where he actually spoke to his lawyer. He's like, there were people, but they're not people. They were dead, and they were coming for me. That sent chills. And the way the actor portrayed it, because he was quiet, with like stone face, very stoic, but just like shaken up, man. That was good.
No, that was amazing because they asked him, what happened when you got back into town. He was like, it was hell. People were attacking each other. And he's looking down the whole time. Rarely did he look up to give any eye contact.
Exactly.
And I like how the lawyer was saying. She was like, every time he said something, he took a deep breath, and it was like a weight off his shoulder. It was like a relief being able to say what he was saying. Because the pictures he took from people attacking people, the little kids. The little kid pictures, that was freaky as hell. The one that he took where the face is basically behind a bush.
Oh yeah.
All these pictures he took.
It just makes you like if you were to take pictures like everyday things and you see shit in the background that just happened to be there. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like these pictures didn't feel like they doctored them for the movie. Obviously, they felt real, and that's what's so good about it. Yeah,
even the photographer was like, "Well, I'm not gonna say he was the greatest photographer."
Yeah, I like that character a lot. He was the border patrol specialist as well, and he was a professional photographer, and he debunked the theory that they're fake. To him, they were the real deal, the genuine article, man. So
the amazing thing about being a photographer is so long as you are behind that lens, so long as you are shooting through that lens, you are indestructible. Every photographer I know feels the same way. While you're shooting, you can't be hurt.
Because remember, they had the chief of police who was adamant that he got this guy because he didn't want to get proven wrong. Was like, people in this town do Photoshop, and they could do Photoshop on anything. Which I like that whole comment.
It's true.
Yeah, but those scenes were amazing, and the fact that you get this buildup now. Because when I first watched this, I had no idea it was about zombies at all.
Me neither. And they kept it at that.
Yes.
It's not like a big zombie invasion came at the end and you can see them now. You never see them in this movie. No. Just to like at the end the shaky cam video of the camcorder and the photos, and that's it. And they kept it at that.
Even when the guy whose father was a border patrol and he became a border patrol agent. Yeah. He was like, I've seen a lot of horror, and this is the best Easter egg that they had this whole thing is I've seen a lot of crazy horrifying things during my time. You have dead bodies you find who are dehydrated, who, they've actually, you could tell they've died out here. But sometimes you just find these bodies that just like eating, and it's not no coyote either.
Yeah, he mentioned coyotes. Yeah. That's what I was trying to elaborate earlier, where they found the mangled bodies and they can't determine what did it. And also too, real quick, I like that they interviewed his sister Maria.
Yes.
To give her side of things, and oh man, like she felt like an actual sister of somebody who was accused of something bad. So she's like, oh my, she feels the guilt, but it's still her brother, and it just felt real. Like they don't feel like actors. I don't know if they're actors or not, man. Did you check it? Are any of these people actually legit like actors?
I didn't even check, to be honest, because how to put it? I didn't want to spoil
same here.
I didn't want to spoil it at all. I was like,
I don't want to break the immersion because this shit feels. I'm telling you, if my girlfriend saw this and even after the fact, she still was talking about it, bro. That's never happened. No. And she's like, yo, that movie creeped me out because she thought it was real, bro.
No, it was so captivating because I know you're like the biggest zombie guy I know, and the fact that, like you said, it hid the whole zombie aspect. to way the end of the movie, the way they ended this movie. So let's go towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this basically what happened to Salazar. He got the lethal injection, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, didn't even get appealed because he wasn't allowed to even have an appeal because everybody they were saying everybody in Arizona is allowed to have an appeal who gets a death penalty, but he wasn't allowed to get the appeal. But then at the end, you get this news that his body went missing, that they couldn't find him.
He got his appeal.
So tell us. So what happened at the end with Salazar?
Yeah, so his body just pretty much got what's that where they when you exhumed, right?
Yeah.
His body was exhumed and no one knew who did it. It was gone. And I like the video of like the campers
Yes.
getting attacked, and then who was there, JR? Who was
Salazar.
Salazar. And that's when it became apparent. Yes, Salazar was right this whole time, and now they got a zombie apocalypse on their hands. Cause what I didn't catch this. Where were the zombies going to? Did they figure that out? Like
They didn't because they said that the trails of blood led to the desert and they disappeared.
but were they? Because that's the one question I got about this film. All these, all right, let's say the 57 people all became zombies. All right, some maybe died, but
Right.
how the fuck did they not? How did I not see them? Like,
I think there was a report afterwards.
Yeah?
There was a continuation saying that there was another attack in another town.
that's what I caught. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That they did kind of elaborate on that a bit, but I wanted to see. Actually, no. I liked the way they kept it. I just wish they would have gave us more information about what's going on in the outside world. Maybe the news somewhere else, a local town or the next state over is picking it up. Just a little something like that. But the way they kept it, though, I think it's as good as it gets, man.
Yeah.
What you think about that?
I loved it because he's talking about all these people they got bit attacking one another. The fact that he had bite marks on his hand.
Is that how? So when he came back, it's because he was infected. You
think he
think,
was
or he
infected.
died?
No, he was infected.
Okay, all right. Because they never established. Obviously, there's no rules in this movie. 'Cause
I
they
think
don't know.
because they killed him so quick and that's another question too is, I mean, this is what I like about, me and you always talk about, when movies give us too much and when there's, a lot of vagueness to it. And I love the vagueness to this because they didn't have to explain how they became zombies.
And I didn't want it.
It wasn't needed. So, and the thing I liked about it is he was bit, but how long did it take for the infection to process?
Right.
And then the fact that he died through lethal injection. So technically the infection was still in his body. Came back to life and attacked the campers.
The campers. And I love the sound that they used for that scene. Oh my god, that's unnerving, bro. Very unnerving.
Speaking of the sound, the score in this film was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That creepy song, music tone in the beginning, and every time they would have a scene where it was like they're talking about, the deaths, is always this tone, this music in the background. And it's funny because Priscilla's on stage. She's like, "What the hell are you watching? That sounds so scary." I'm like, "This is awesome, man." The
Yeah.
fact that you get that feeling right from the
Of
get-go.
dread,
Yes.
I think this movie, it feels like a documentary though.
Yeah.
I can't stop expressing that enough. Like, you don't just get into it and all right, it feels like a Hollywood movie and special effects in it. It's as low budget can be. And I think they interviewed actual people, man. I don't think that a lot of these were actors, man.
No.
Because they felt so authentic and real. Like they, even the ones that are like bad actors, they don't feel like bad actors. They feel like they're just interviewing some guy alongside the road.
The guy in the bar. The guy in the bar in the plaid shirt. Them people killed their babies. You know what they do. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Who's that one character that came in with the big bombastic intro? Like, it was almost like a commercial. Like, what was
he was the cop. He was the chief.
cop.
The chief had his own bad commercial. That
was the only time in the movie I was like, oh no. But then I got it. I understood why it was presented that way. So.
Oh yeah. So, all right. So, just in case if you haven't watched previous episodes of Lost or Found, we do things differently here as far as ratings. We don't go full ratings. We just basically, like the title says, Lost or Found.
Yeah.
If you think the movie's bad, that it wasn't, worth the watch, it's definitely lost. Of course, it should never been discovered. Now, if it's found, it's because you think the movie was a good watch or worth a watch. I mean, we don't hit on the perfect, that, this is so perfect, or, the rating system is just
Yeah.
found, and explain why you believe it's either lost or found. So what do you think of this movie? I kind of know where you're going with it, but
Yeah, this movie's if this was a Three Corners, this would probably be a 5 for me. It's a found all the way, only because, bro, this does to me. I've seen plenty of mockumentaries before, right? There's like even like the Poughkeepsie tapes. That's another classic.
yes.
But this one was done with a zombie apocalypse in a sense, and it still kept it grounded, which is not
Yes.
easy to do. This movie is it's not perfect, but I want to rate it as highly as possible because of the originality and the passion put behind it. They kept mistakes in there because it's supposed to feel real. It's not supposed to feel polished at all.
Yeah.
And the fact that you got this one character, Francisco Salazar, like I mentioned, you go on a journey. You don't know anything about this guy, but then as the movie progresses and the layers get peeled and peeled, and like that one guy who was all about defending this dude, I forgot his name, but the guy who found the actual video tapes. Like, I like characters like that because it's presenting a side for Salazar, which you didn't get much of it in the film other than his sister. But yeah, dude, this movie's great. I would highly recommend this to anyone. If my girlfriend, who is not like a horror fiend like we are, I mean, she could appreciate a good one. But when I got her reaction to this, I was like, holy shit. I mean, I liked it, but now this is how I know it's a good film. When you could get a non-movie fanatic and they're engrossed and they're like, they're in it until the very end, and they want more and they got questions.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie presents. Like, wait a minute, so what happened here, or does this mean this, or what about this? That's great because it's a documentary. That when you watch a real documentary, you don't get all the answers. You get both sides, and you place your own opinions about it. And this movie is kind of the same way, even though we got the zombies at the end, so we know Salazar was right. At least it gave us that, but it still gave us enough questions to keep us, engaged in the final film, and I loved it, man. This is a found all the way. You told me about this movie, by the way, when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Because I had heard about it, but you were like, "Yo, watch it," and there you go.
For me, this is almost as good as it could get for documentary style found footage, because it did it in stages. In the beginning, we get the whole crime scene. We get the whole tale of what happened.
Yeah.
We get the whole suspect. Then it goes into the division of the community. People going after Salazar. People going after because of who he is, because of immigration. Then you get the one reporter who, in the beginning of the film, thought Salazar was guilty as possible. But once he started diving in, because he got, what was it, where they could get access to records. So once he got access to the records, he started diving more into it. And then you get the whole feel like, all right, something doesn't seem right here, because they slowly start explaining to you that, listen, they rushed this too quickly. And the fact that it was mentioned, you had this whole town get wiped out and there was no media coverage.
Yeah, and by one guy.
Yes, and that tells you how the Salazar character was basically screwed. And then you finally get Salazar to talk, and then you get the photography.
Yeah, I love how they said, how the hell we're gonna get all these different like DNA samples spread out across this entire fucking area, bro. This is it's in Nevada, so it's like on the Mexican border, right?
Arizona,
right? Yeah.
No, yeah, it's right on the Mexican border. Because it's funny, because they had even one point where the border agent, who at the beginning of the film thought Salazar was guilty too, but then once he starts walking in town, like, so the chief thinks that this guy literally ran all across town with a pickaxe,
and nobody saw. Man, women, children.
Yeah, he knew where everybody was going.
Sangre De
Cristo.
De Cristo. That's an awesome name.
Yeah. Which, if you don't know what that means, it means blood of Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the way it was done was just, it was so good. It does keep you locked in. If you're a fan of documentaries, this is a perfect documentary horror for you, because it locks you in. Yeah. And as I'm watching this movie, I won't lie, I was sitting there tempted to see like, all right, did this really happen? We went back to the day, so like,
Dude, it feels like it though. You're not.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking with you. Like you say that, I take you serious because it has that feel to it.
yeah.
It feels real.
No, it's an amazing film. I'm definitely found one of my I would say one of my top 5.
This is a good film. It's
Yes.
not. There's no film like this one, and that's like the highest praise you could give any film, especially in 2023, man.
Yeah, and it's still like me and Rick always look at films, and if they stand the test of time, they're just great films. And this thing stands the test of time, and because of the topic, it's going to stand the test of time for a long.
And it's a
long,
little
long
ahead
time.
of its time too, as far as the topic is concerned.
Yes,
One last thing. So, was he like? Was it proven that he was an illegal, or they just assumed
he wasn't illegal.
He
He
wasn't
just kept
illegal.
coming back and forth in the border, but he stood in the town
He was
because
a drifter? Yeah,
he was a drifter, but he
Damn.
was well known in town. People worked with him. They always say he was quiet.
Quiet. He didn't talk.
There was that couple who he adored, who he said they're good people. The one with the 2 kids, that the guy was a pastor who ended up committing suicide, and the church burned their whole church down with himself and his wife and the kids because of what was happening. And then you had the townspeople saying, "Oh, this guy is a coward because he killed his kids and the pastor." So
And they blame Francisco for that too.
yeah, but great film. Definitely watch. It's currently streaming on Tubi.
If you don't have Tubi, actually, Screenbox has it.
Yeah.
No commercials. And another good thing, it does not overstay its welcome. Hour
No.
and 26 minutes, give or
Yes.
take.
Yes.
Perfect, bro. When it was over, my girlfriend was like, "That's it? It's done?" Because we're used to watching longer movies.
Yeah.
But she was like, in a way, she was like, I want more. Like, I want to know more. I want to know more. So it leaves you wanting more. And that's like, man, you can't get no compliment better than that from Ricky Grimes, because I hate long movies, but when I want more, that's saying something. Good choice, JR. Thank you for that.
But one thing too, this is one of those films that you want so much more, but don't make a sequel. Leave it the way it is.
No, I don't want to know anymore.
Don't leave
Keep
it the way it is.
Keep the ending ambiguous. Let everyone decide in the room. I mean, obviously, it's not ambiguous because they show you people getting fucked up. But I don't want to know any more than that.
No.
Keep it at
great
that.
film.
Keep it at that.
Hey, Ricky, thanks for joining me for this one, man.
Anytime, my brother. You know, you got a film for me. Ricky Grimes is here, son. Salute.
All right, so thank you once again. Lost or Found here on Horror Fiend TV. Like, subscribe, continue to share us. Still got a lot coming your way and more live streams, but we'll tell you when we get closer to those dates of what we're going to talk about. This is JR, Ricky Grimes, Horror Fiend TV. Peace.